Here I am in the parking lot of the West Canyon Trail, Golden Ears Park. There's people there. Quite a few cars parked here, but the East Canyon side was packed, tons of cars. So looks a little less busy. It's not as flat. It's a more challenging climb. So people who want an easier time don't use this one. Anyways, I'll follow this with a clip showing I stopped at the Cross Cabins Park where we usually do our rafting, and people had dumped the garbage, hadn't properly put it in the garbage can, so there was a bear. Anyways, you'll see that. The other guy who pulled up just as I'd pulled in, called wildlife to let them know. Anyways, I'll take a few clips of my hike, and we'll do a little bit more. This is what happens when you don't take care of garbage properly. They don't put the garbage away right. What idiots. That said, I'll take a picture. Well, I'm not going down there. That is crazy. They don't put the garbage away right, and then it attracts the bears. Then you've got a problem. The park's not very usable if you start drawing the bears in. I am wandering down the trail. Mountain in the distance there. I haven't done this trail in quite some time, but I've done it many, many times. Didn't used to have a bridge over this creek. That mountain back there is the other side of Elouette Lake. Here I am. There's a relic of the logging. You can see the notches they put in for the springboards. There's another one back there, and another one back there. This was the largest train logging operation in North America until the fire that started in the cook camp and wiped it all out. There's the trail that I just came up. There's my boots and my staff. Down there, and I think you can hear it, through the trees is Gold Creek. You can't really see it well because the tree cover has grown up in past years. You used to be able to see it just a little bit better. Loving this hike. This tree is an accident waiting to happen. Barely holding onto the edge of that logged stump. And nicely pulled out of the ground here. The trail goes around that big boulder. A few more boulders. Another stump with springboard notches. Another one, someone's burned it. And that's the trail I just came up. When a piece breaks off the back of a logged tree like that, we call it a barber chair. Got all these things from old Ed Deans and Ben Nichols. Got to work with some pretty cool people. And there's the trail I just came up. And this, believe it or not, is not even Gold Creek. This is a little tributary that runs into it. You have to go this way to get to Gold Creek, and then to get to Alder Flats. There's an old balsam fir. Those are sap bubbles on it. You can squeeze them and they pop out sap. And here's the trail. I've come along that trail. There's a hill. Great big old spike. Dead spike with a tree leaning on it. That doesn't look very safe. And a big rock bluff that we have to go around. Down below somewhere Maybe you can hear it. The rushing of Gold Creek. I'm going to zoom in. There through the trees, that is Gold Creek. I'm not sure if you can even see it. It's one of the viewpoints. It's Gold Creek. And holy moly, it looks like someone put a bridge across. I wonder if you can get back that way. There's my trail. Look down, way down. There's a ravine there. So we get across it over there. Shallow spot. So apparently, yes, they have built a bridge so you can get back to the East Canyon Trail. So it's not the Burma Bridge, but I could actually see it from further up. It's a wooden bridge, and I've been told you can go back, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to return on the East Canyon Trail. Cool. I'll skip Alder Flats and Golden Ears because I'm not going to climb it today anyways. This is where I stopped. A bite to eat. That's the trail I came down over there. Up this way is Alder Flats. This way is East Canyon Trail. And here I am. Here's the staff I made. It says Ram, that was my cub name. Cubinator. April of 2010. That's when I made this staff along with a bunch of my cubs. I've used it for Lindeman Lake. Used it here. There's a big difference. The big old clumsy old guy like me to help keep his balance. Anyways, here I go. When through the woods and forest glades I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur, and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Descending down to Gold Creek to head to the bridge that crosses me over to the East Canyon Trail. Here it is. A new bridge. We found a rock in the middle. We put a cement post on it. I don't know how long it's been here, but I guess this replaces the old Burma Bridge, which would have been somewhere near here. So this is the trail. Yeah, this is Gold Creek. It's huge. I don't know. They call Alouette River a river, and it's a tiny little thing. And they call this a creek, and it's huge. So, it should be called the Gold River. But I think there's something by that name already in BC. There you go. What a beautiful, beautiful place this. There's the mountain there. You can't, oh, there, you can see a bit of golden ears through the trees there. You can see the snow cap on it. That snow pretty well never goes away. So Ed Deans, who I worked for a time, dropped out of school in grade 3 during the Depression years to earn money so his family wouldn't starve. He helped. He was a part of the funding. So he never really learned to read. He'd drop off a bunch of lumber, and then he'd hand me the scale sheet and ask me to read it to him. But he was one of the most naturally intelligent people I've ever known. Very, very smart. Very, very capable of solving any problem, thinking outside of the box. Brilliant guy. Anyways, he was working here at age 15 for A&L Lumber, felling trees, and he stood to hear on me as a grown man. So he wouldn't have been a big 15-year-old, but back then I think if you had a heart to work, you could find work. So he worked up here until the fire, And then he went on to do horse logging in the mission area. So A&L pulled out a lot of the lumber. And the other thing I remember hearing was that a lot of their timber with the trains, they'd pull it up to Panorama Ridge and drop it down a skid into Pitt Lake, because it was easier to get it from there. You just go down the Pitt River into the Fraser River and you're at all the mills. So very convenient to do it that way. So someone had the brains to say, hey, don't go down, go up, and then drop it down a skid into Pitt Lake. So anyways, that's what I know about this area. Later they called it Garibaldi Park. And then they realized that it was too big, so they split the top part is still Garibaldi, administered out of Squamish and Whistler area. The bottom part they named Golden Ears. My second ever cub camp was at Camp Garibaldi, which is actually in what's now Golden Ears. So there you go, a little bit of history about this place. Oh, one more thing. Our famous train robber, Billy Miner, hid up here a couple of times. One time a posse got stuck for almost a week in a snowstorm. They thought for sure he died. He showed up the next spring, still at his trade. So interesting area, this. If this plant that looks like it's a big maple leaf with kind of a wooden stalk at the bottom with spines all over it, that's called a devil's club. You don't want to touch it. Those spines get in you and they're barbed, so they're hard to get out. And they sting. Some people get a really bad rash, so you don't want to play with those. They like swampy places, so right next to a little rivulet running down here. Yeah, like that spot. Golden Ears Park is home to a number of plants, including a couple of carnivorous plants that are only found in British Columbia and only in a few spots. So you can find them on the island, apparently in a few places, and you can find them here. So very unique. I'm going to go for the Lower Falls Trail. I don't think it's much longer, but it's a little rougher. So I'll just go nice and slow and take it easy, as opposed to doing the nice wide road you can actually drive a pickup truck up. See, we're clearly in trail mode. This is not a road. And there is a slug. Let's see from the end of my stick. He's a decent sized one. He's not a monster. I've seen much thicker ones, but there you go, it's a slug. I always did find down harder than up. Now that my knees are older, down is definitely harder than up. I am down. I'm at the bottom of that part of the trail anyways. There's the falls. They want you off the falls. Those people have disregarded. But they're just on the rocks. Big pool down there. Beautiful. This is definitely prettier than the road up above would have been. Oh, that was interesting coming down. Look at that tree going right out of the middle of the stump. Old log stump, and it's going right out of the middle. I wonder where its roots go. Down the sides and down the middle. There's probably a big tap down the middle. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, sure enough, you can see its roots going down into the ground. Yeah, Gold Creek. What a beautiful trail. Lovely. My hips have given me advance warning that I'm going to suffer for this tonight. But it was worth it. Even a little bench. I think I will enjoy the bench. Beautiful little view here of the creek. I'll have a snack and some water. Here I am, sitting on my bench. Horsefly buzzing around. This is a blue huckleberry bush. That is a blue huckleberry. It's got them all over it. Bunch more there. They're very, very good. Not as good as a regular blueberry from a farm. They tend to grow more in the high mountain. This doesn't quite qualify, but it's getting there. So I've seen a couple of the bushes. This bush has the red huckleberries all over it. And hard to reach. I pulled it down with my staff, but I won't. There's some big devil's club in there. Those are taller than me. Those are 10 feet tall. I've seen them more like 15 feet tall. They get really big. They love the swampy areas. So here's a pool, a big pool. They've got a bunch of them. There's someone waiting in one. You can swim in these. And these thimbleberries are almost ripe. They're starting to get a little bit pink. When they go bright red and fuzzy, they're super sweet. Very nice. So I think that's Alouette, Blanchard, and that's part of Golden Ears, but you can't see the ears. They're behind that knoll. Creek on another bridge. This is by the parking lot for the West Canyon. And this is a real rainforest. Sunlight doesn't get down here. So we get a few sparse bushes, even not too many ferns, tons of moss. Mostly stuff that doesn't need a lot of sunlight. This is a real West Coast temperate rainforest, and I love it. Okay, this spot lets a little more sunlight through, so you've got more ferns. And bigger berry bushes, even though there's no berries on them. And giant Devil's Club in the background. Okay, took me 4 hours and 15 minutes to do the full loop up the West Canyon Trail, walking over to the new bridge, which I was very pleased to see there was a bridge there, and then across to the East Canyon Trail and down along the lower falls, which the trail down to the lower falls was a little interesting. Otherwise, had a good time. The one thing that I really missed was having a bunch of chattering, fun, crazy Cubs or Scouts along with. Usually I'd have that and enjoy it thoroughly. So unfortunately, it was not to be this time around, but hopefully in the fall we can have some fun adventures together.